and welcome to this new conversation on a Good Steps conversation series. And today, our guest is Kinjal Dawda. Hi, Kinjal.
Hi, Preeti. Wonderful to be here. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for being here. Kinjal is a sustainability practitioner since childhood. She has her presence in a lot of different domains there, be it in terms of when we talk about nature, be it in terms of the kind of things which goes out of our houses in composting, be it the part of the nature, the animals. She has been an animal rescuer for more than a decade, and be it in terms of the food choices we make. So she'll tell us more about the kind of food choices she's adopted and what led her to that. And currently, she is leading the ESG and sustainability at Dr. Reddy's. So, Kinjal, welcome once again. And let's get started from the origins, the source, where it all started. I believe it was since early childhood when the word nature, outdoors, and surroundings, it's what became a part of life. So tell us from there,
Yes.
and what are the different major stops which came in this journey? I think they're still continuing, but let's touch upon the major ones which you have already
Sure.
experienced.
Sure. Thank you so much, Preeti. So, you're right that, these things begin, I think, in our formative years, at least the thought. And personally, I feel, we all come out of nature and we go back into nature. So I feel that all of us have this connection with nature, but it depends on when it's activated, right? So for a lot of people, it happens later in life. For me, I remember ever since I was a child, I was an introvert. I remember, my school teacher saying, "Yeah, she does well. She listens, but she's always looking outside the window." And probably, I guess I was staring at trees. So I feel nature was the largest trigger for me. I remember, I don't come from a very religious family, but my, parents had different philosophies about religion. I used to feel that God is nature and nature is God, because nature is helping grow the plants that we eat. Nature is this magical combination of how the world works, how we are all able to survive and have everything that we need, and we're dependent on nature for everything, right? I
Absolutely.
also, I think these thoughts structured more as I grew up. But as a child, I remember feeling a lot of peace and being myself when I was out, at the beach or, at a mountain. I grew up in a place which had a lot of natural beauty. So that connection felt really personal. And from then on, I wanted to understand about, how I can keep that connection alive. I used to do a lot of trekking. I used
Mhm.
to really look forward to, being on my own every year, and that has continued. So I feel that was the major milestone. In terms of other major things that happened, as you said, I've been rescuing for a while. It's about 20 plus years of, being an animal rescuer. And I always felt closely about the environment. So I would join these environmental teams and, campaigns at all the offices, all the working, roles that I've had. That's also about close to 20 years. And then sometime in 2012, I feel disconnected, So I started my career as a banker, I was in IT. In 2012, I got the opportunity to join the sustainability domain, and I thought, wow, so personal life and professional life is going to be the same conversation.
Yeah, coming to an
So I,
intersection.
I grabbed it. Yeah. And I think today, in spite of everything, the most important thing to me is that I wake up with the same, thoughts and messages. And everyone I talk to now, they expect that I'll talk about something that's close to me, which is also my profession. So, yeah, I would say that that has been the other major milestone. I also chose my life partner on the basis of someone who followed this ethos so that, no matter how different we are, we have the same journey. And yes, I believe it's only grown like this. But these were the few, major points. childhood, then, making the career choice, and discovering things along the way.
So, Kinjal, food is a very important part of everybody's life. We all are so closely connected, and it's like what we eat is what we think and what we do. So,
Yes,
you made a major transition in your food journey. Tell us about that.
yes.
What prompted that, and how do you feel now? And what is your, what is one experience or two experience learnings which you would like to share, which is which our audience can relate to, or which they might find
Yes.
something to go further and find more about it.
Sure, sure. You've hit it bang on, Riti. I think one of the most important choices we make, which we make every day and several times a day, is the food that we eat, right? And while I feel I have made some progress, I feel there's a long way to go because the food problem itself is larger. We are
Right,
8 billion plus, we have limited resources, we do not consume as mindfully as the previous generation did, and I think the future generations will have food scarcity as one of the battles that will be lined up, and it's so important to us as a society, right? So one would have thought that 20 years plus on this journey, I would have made this decision sooner. I would have connected the dots. But like I said, it's a journey and it's learning, and while everything is interconnected, it does not strike you at the same time. So
right.
I remember, I used to have a lot of rescue cats at home, and my brother, this was in my 30s, and my brother, who was, in his 20s, actually said to me that, to feed so many cats, you're killing so many chicken, you know. And it never resonated with me because I thought it's my children, I'm feeding them, my animals, this is what they eat. But many years later, I started to think more about, for me, I was always a vegetarian. So I was
Okay,
anyways not eating animals. And I was a rescuer. And when I was rescuing, it was not just cats and dogs. It was also, I remember there was a bandicoot rat who was poisoned, and I was trying to see if I could revive him, give him some medication. Because I feel that all living beings to me should be the same,
right,
and all animals then should be the same. And then I started to think about, yes. So to feed one cat, if I'm having to kill, several chicken, is it really, the right choice? But cats are obligate carnivores, so I can't make them vegetarian. So then, what should you do? Which species should you look at the well-being of? Is it the one that you like? But that's the thing with the world, right? We
right.
have a lot of set processes in terms of set thoughts we have in terms of who can be eaten, who can't. The industry works like that. But I remember it was very sentimental for me. Food has always been a very big part of my journey. And I feel that after eating, if you feel good, that means it's good food, even if it's very simple. And that's why homemade meals are so good, right? Because it's with love and it's simple, it's healthy. So I remember I grew up in a place where it was very, very hot. Plus, I'm a Gujarati, so dairy was very interwoven into my food, And
Okay,
I remember the foods that I used to love suddenly did not satisfy me that much. I started feeling a bit of guilt when all of this
okay,
was happening in the background. And I thought, if my food doesn't, make me feel good, then maybe I need to change something about it. So I remember one, day watching a video where a cow who had just given birth, with her udders full, she was sort of a wonky walk, and she was trying to run behind a small carriage where a farmer was taking away the male calf.
okay.
And in the dairy industry, this happens because the male calf cannot give milk, and the male calf is then sold for leather or beef. And I don't have human children, but I remember I instantly made the connection and thought, oh my God, the price of, my enjoyment is a mother not being able to feed her child. And I remember an hour later, it was late night, an hour later, I messaged one of my closest friends and said, that's it. From tomorrow, I'm going vegan. And it was, like that. That was about 8 years ago. In fact, it was in September. September, I completed 8 years. And I
Oh,
kept thinking to
nice.
myself, why I could not see this earlier, you know. But since then, I believe that, of course, it was an ethical reason for me and also very practical, right? Because if I'm not drinking a cat's milk or a dog's milk, why would I drink a cow's milk? It became very rational and practical for me. But I've also seen a lot of co-benefits, and I started to read more because I wanted to make sure that nutritionally, I was getting the right, measure of everything. I didn't want to
Right.
run back because of nutrition, which is more practical. I saw a lot of co-benefits, and there are many studies that link this. I started connecting with people, understanding more. I became a better cook, because
Okay.
I started thinking about, substituting all the food that I used to like with, more sustainable sources. It's I feel food to me, I always say that peace begins on the plate. So that's been a very important part of this journey that defines a lot of my conversations, that defines the way, 3 times a day I'm cooking meals. I'm trying to also make wholesome meals, nutritionally complete. I'm trying to source locally, which I think is also part of the environmental problem, reduce the wastage, eat fresh, eat seasonal foods. So I feel all
Right.
of that came together because of how I started thinking about food. And I feel it's been a very important milestone for me, turning vegan.
Well,
I
thank
also
you
chose a
for
partner
sharing.
who's vegan. I
That
met
was a
him through the
criteria for
vegan
you.
journey. Yeah, yeah. And
Okay.
my father turned vegan about 5 years ago at the age of 65, and
Oh,
he said he's seen some wonderful benefits too.
that's amazing. So, from your these practices, and now it's like what you mentioned, 8 billion people, and there's a lot of things. The better choices needs to spread to them. Some of them know it already. Some of them want to know about it. So, coming to the professional side of it, now you're leading these initiatives among the other initiatives in your organization. So what is the kind of reaction you normally get when you're trying to drive that? Because some may feel it's preachy, some may feel it's not practical, and again, with the objective of bringing in the good for them is what people like you are trying to drive in the organization. So where does the intersection of that happen? How has it been in the last 4 years here? So tell us more about that.
Sure, sure. So, sustainability began as a career choice for me sometime about 13 years ago. And it's been different roles in sustainability. It's been talking to people. But I see two kinds of people who work in sustainability. One is those who came here because, they believe in the overall, the larger cause. And two
Right,
is those who have taken this as a conscious career choice because they think it has a lot of demand, it has a lot of potential. Type one is people who I feel I can have an instant conversation with because I had the same drivers to move this field. But type two is also those who are already in the profession, and I feel the conversation with them would be slightly different. So, what I've seen in so many years of sustainability is that we're all emotional at the core, right?
right,
And if I talk about sustainability just as the part of work, right? It's absolutely fine. But the moment I start to connect it to how we live our personal lives, um, it tends to take a different tone because typically we're used to conversations where we discuss what are our hobbies, what do we do on the weekend, what movie we saw. And so I've realized that a couple of things work when I have this conversation. One, what I stand for, right? My intention is never to make someone question their choices. although it could be, I want them to positively examine their lives like I am doing, right? It's like you discover something good and you want to share it with people. So that's the approach that I take. I definitely do not think that I'm morally, ethically in any way above anyone because I know so many wonderful people who do so much more impactful work, right? And so it is, I feel a combination of these couple of things. When I'm talking to someone, I have the identity where people now know that if you're talking to Kinjal, she will talk about, five sustainable things, and she'll talk about something that has worked for her, something that she just discovered, something that she had no clue about. So I try to meet people where they are. I think, like all communication, you have to know your audience. So,
Right.
if I meet someone who's very health conscious, who just come back from the gym, and I'm having conversation with them, and all I want to do is ask them, the kind of food that you're eating. I hope you're checking with your nutritionist that it's not
Right.
heavy on hormones, or steroids, which is a natural thing, So I weave the message into the conversation that I'm having with them. It's a very natural thing that I would discuss, right? But there is an element of sustainability because I think sustainability is so interwoven into everything we do, right?
Absolutely.
So I feel that helps, and I might discuss one specific point or one specific message over a coffee conversation or over lunch, where someone looks at my plate and says, "Oh, you couldn't take that, or you couldn't take this," and I tell them, you're anyways not going to be able to take all the food. Are you sure you're going to be able to eat everything that's there? I got what I wanted. I got much more than what I wanted. And well, it's not difficult at all, So I only want on my plate what I can finish, and there is much more than I can finish. So when it's so natural, I feel you're countering a point with something positive, and I think then the exchange is also pleasant, right?
Absolutely.
So
How you structure that conversation, as per your audience, is what makes the difference there. So,
yes, yes.
when you talk to people, what is like one or two myths which you come across that they believe that this is sustainability, but you have to go and tell them, okay, this is not, or some of the common myths which you come across when you're having these conversations. So, would you like to share one or two of those?
About food or about I mean in
About
general?
sustainability in general. So, because
Sure.
normally what I come across is, oh, it's very expensive. It should be affordable by everyone. Then I tell them, okay, it's not about just the products, it's about
Yeah.
the habits which we adopt. So,
Yes, yes. So definitely one is, people think that it's expensive to buy. I remember I'll give you an example of something that I read. I had visited a zero waste store, very close to where I live. And there was a small message that, said, if it's not costing you, it's costing the planet.
right,
And I thought it was so impactful, and I instantly showed it, to my husband. And of course, he was, looking at me like, okay, that's how they're justifying their prices. But I told him, because today everything is, the mass market or everything that's produced at a large scale
right,
is produced because it's easy to throw, easy to build. It uses very, easily available, raw materials. People are not, the manufacturers naturally are thinking about what they can grow at scale easily.
right,
The sellers are thinking about what can be sold, easily. And convenience is the largest, element that things sell today, right? People are willing to pay for convenience. But when we look at, what could be the impact of that purchase, I feel today conscious people can choose to influence the products that are made with their purchasing power, right? So if I'm going to buy laundry detergent, for example, you're washing clothes all day, right?
right,
Every day, and that's something that all of us do, and all of that water is mixing with our water bodies.
right,
We don't have spring water or Himalayan water. We all have that same water which was recycled, which was cleaned, which was sanitized. Do I want so many toxic chemicals in my water? And so I will choose a laundry detergent that's earth friendly, right? because I want to make sure that, from my side, there's nothing toxic going in. But the thing about making these choices is that the myth, frankly, is that people feel one person, you can do it for yourself, it works for you. It doesn't. I may do all of this and feel that, Preeti, I'm protecting your share of water or my share of water. But if you're not doing it, it doesn't really help all of us. It's collective action, right?
Right.
So when we choose to segregate our waste, it's not just me segregating my waste, but if we do this as a community, if we do this as a city, you know, there's so many benefits out of it. So one of the myths is it's difficult to do. The other myth is that one person alone can, do whatever they want. That's an individual choice. But the thing is, air is a shared resource that we all breathe. Water is a shared resource. So each of our actions contribute to impact on the other. Someone very sick could be drinking that water and, might have an irreversible damage. And so
Right.
today I want to make that choice because it's simply also indicating to the industry and to businesses that I want conscious products. That makes a systemic shift and change. So of course the most impactful for sustainability is not individual action alone, but individual action can influence policies, it can influence corporations, and then collectively we can all make a change.
Yeah, so the different facets of individual as a citizen, as an
Yeah.
investor, as a homemaker, as a person who is an employee there, you have the different
Yeah.
roles which you can play. And with your, so yes,
Yes.
that one person's action will be tiny, but when we collectively do it, that brings the magic there.
And
So,
everybody can do something. Everybody can do basic in the same thing that they have done basic. They can do intermediate and advanced, or someone can do just five basic. We don't have to be perfect, but everyone needs to do a lot more imperfectly. And I think that will,
uh,
create an impact. So,
I cannot agree more
everybody
with
can do
that because my mantra is always the imperfect journey, but keep it consistent. Because
that.
we all cannot do
Yes.
everything. Some of us, fortunately, are able to do that, but it may not be practically possible for a lot. But keep that just because it is imperfect, don't stop there. So, now coming to that, and what you mentioned, the five mantras for our audience who want to start making the difference. So tell us about your five things, five key things, key eco hacks or key practices which you would like to share, which has worked wonderfully for you and which you believe will work
Sure.
wonderfully for a lot of people. Yeah, any five.
Sure. Absolutely. So, choices for me, of course, I've shared some of them, my food, my, purchasing habits, but I think what we can all, do wherever we are, today is one, start to think about our consumption because we are using raw materials that cannot be returned. Uh, Whatever we are consuming today is going away from our future generation, and I'm sure we are very happy with all the trees that were planted by our ancestors. So we should think about how we are consuming, more mindfully consume, right? There's a wonderful way to even enjoy a small piece of chocolate, which is better for your health also, rather than eat the entire bar,
Right,
something like that. And of course, on a bad day, you want to eat the entire bar, and it's absolutely fine. Like we said, it's not about perfection. But as long as you're conscious that, we're consuming more than or unnecessarily, it might impact our health as well and the health of the planet. So I think one is mindfully consume.
right,
And of course, before we consume, mindfully purchase because, like I discussed, the power of your wallet is, able to influence larger corporations. So today, if I say that I will not buy snacks in plastic and I'll go to my local shop and just, carry my steel containers and say, hey, why don't you fill this up? And of course, I might be influencing his thought as well, and the shopkeeper, and then maybe other people who are watching me, and that's how collective
absolutely.
action begins. So mindfully purchase, mindfully consume. Um, I wanted to share this. It might be, I mean, not necessarily five steps, but we normally do an induction. I normally do an ESG induction for all the new joinees. And of
Mhm.
course, I talk about what the company does and all of that. But I always end with three things. and maybe that's how I'll structure it here too. One
Sure.
is understand the larger picture. So I tell people if you're joining the company, go look up at his website, go look at the annual report, understand, what you're going to be a part of. So for us, it could simply mean what's happening globally in climate, what's happening at, the latest COP, right? What is the Paris Agreement? What are everyone's experiencing this firsthand. So it's easy to
Right.
understand why is there so much of unnatural weather patterns. Why was there crazy rain this time all across, the country? Why are
Right.
forest fires happen? So one, if you try to understand the larger picture and what's happening, then you know your role in it. So if you understand one, second, do something about it. And do then, I spoke about the purchasing, the consuming, right? And I feel it's very easy to make small switches rather than,
Right.
think large, where you might get very overwhelmed. So make
Right.
one switch today, see how it goes, maybe make an advanced switch later, or maybe make a smaller switch in another area, right? And the third most important thing I think is to share, right? So
That's
something
very
works well.
important.
Yeah, yeah. Like I told you about the laundry detergent, that I was using. It was fantastic. And it is, the owner of the company is someone, who does diving, and she went really, really far and, deep. And she said, I was so shocked by the fact that, marine life is suffering. And so her business is personal to her. And so I feel that I would like to buy from smaller businesses. I would like to encourage those who are trying to do something different. I feel like they're companions in sustainability, and so I want to buy from more thoughtful companies, right? So if I share this with now five people and they say, "Oh, but which is the company that you buy from?" and so that company would now probably last longer and be more, sustainable because they have a larger customer base.
Right.
So sharing these things is also happening in businesses, but sharing these things also encouraging and inspiring people to take action. And so I think if you understand, then do something and then talk about it, and doing something, there's so much, so many options in your office, how you can make a change in the way you travel, in the way you eat, in the way you shop and buy things. So yeah, it's a world of choices, opportunities, and we have a whole lifetime to make them.
Yeah. That's what we,
Yeah,
when I speak to people and I tell them about the actions, so what you summarized it so well, the buying decision, the consuming decision, that
yeah,
captures a lot of these actions which are there. When you're conscious about that, when
yeah.
you're aware about like how each action is impacting, a lot of other actionable steps all come under the fold of this particular thing. So, I would like to end with one basic, simple action, which you would tell any new office employee who is getting introduced to this. One very basic, simple switch, which you will mention, which you can tell them to
So,
try out.
yes, yes. So, Preeti, I feel for offices, a lot of things like lighting, sometimes it's central lighting or central air conditioning, which I can't influence except for me continuously telling, requesting the maintenance staff to, reduce the lighting, or,
The,
not lighting all throughout the day. But there
right,
are things which I can follow at work, which is the simple, thing. If especially everyone's eating at a cafeteria, right?
right,
To watch your plate, most of the places you don't pay, you pay very subsidized rate. You have a lot of options. You don't have too many lines. And if you do need to wait 5 minutes, I think it should be okay. You can make conversation with someone in the line or meet someone new. You have unlimited helpings. So it's so ironic sometimes. I feel that if I've taken too much on my plate and I'm simply wasting it, and it is that waste is being seen by the people who have made the food or the people who are going to eat after me, the staff that has worked for so many hours. It's very unfair, right?
right.
So if everyone at office can simply watch their plate, take only what they want, go multiple times for helpings, and disassociate the fact that how will people feel or how will people think? People will only be happy if they see you doing something different, right? But the
Absolutely.
people who are helping serve the food, who have made the food for you, will be so thankful, and that nice feeling will transfer into your food. Your food will be tastier, healthier, all of that, right? So I think at office people can do this. I also want to add one thing which I think is very impactful. In spite of, I mean, not being just at office. At office, of course, we use all our dustbins and everything, right? But overall, at home, in public places, in offices, wherever you are in a different country, we must think about segregating our waste. I feel,
Absolutely.
waste is the single largest problem of, how we are living today. I was reading that, 3% of the world's space is occupied by cities, but 75% of the emissions are caused by cities, so our impact is massive,
Right.
and its waste is blocking our waterways. It's mixing with our toxic waste is mixing with our water and landfills. It's polluting the soil. It's endangering the health of the people who deal with that waste. There are so many impacts. So if we simply segregate our waste, there's a lot of steps again in this journey. So you can
Right.
simply start with wet and dry waste. You can look at, separating e-waste and try to do composting with your wet waste that can, turn it into black gold and actually feed your plants. There's so many steps, but most important, if you're able to segregate, if you can also contact a local scrap dealer, and, they can come over, pick all of these. So I feel this is the most impactful thing that people anywhere, even outside office, can do.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is something which is like when it is all mixed together, they lose out on the value. And of course, the problems, when you
Yeah,
segregate it, there are so many benefits. It's the responsible disposal of the things where you can like extract resources and
yes,
resources, some of which are getting limited day by day. And at the same
yes,
time, take care of the shared resources of land, water, and air, which this waste goes into. So,
absolutely,
very
absolutely.
well said. Very beautiful closing to this. And thank you so much, Kinjal, for sharing your journey and sharing all these practical things which we can look into it, adopt at different facets of our journey. I'm sure a lot of people will get inspired with this and will pick up one or two things to get started. And we'll keep on having these conversations to bring in more of such actionable, practical, actionable points to the audience. And thank you and congratulations for the wonderful work you are doing. And you are, I mean, living it, I'll say, living it from the childhood itself, it in some or the other way. And what you mentioned about the two types of people in sustainability. So the first type is something which where it is altogether a different way of seeing the things, which I also relate to. So when I think it's wonderful and keep this good work going. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Preeti. Like you said, you're type one, and I know that, that's how we connect. But we're also having this conversation for type two and all the types where people are, at different stages of their journey. And I hope to welcome more and more people into type one, where we're all, whatever action we are doing is because we feel strongly about it, and, we understand the interconnections of the world. And yes, like you said, it began a bit early for me, but I'm still learning so much. There's still a long way to go. There's still so many people who are doing tremendous work that I can learn from. And I feel I do this, whatever I do, it's not perfect. It's very imperfect. It's still at a very starting stage, but I'm trying to ensure that when I leave the world, I've caused minimal negative impact and hopefully maximal positive impact. So I do it because it makes me feel good. It's a selfish reason, but it's a tremendous journey because I meet so many wonderful people like you, who are doing different things, and I wanted to wish you all the best as well in what you're doing. You're bringing the message forward. You're organizing these wonderful sessions where people get to know so much. So you're doing part one of that understand, which I spoke about. You're sort of amplifying that, and thank you. It's been wonderful talking, and I look forward to connecting with you again.
Yes, thank you. And thank you for the kind words and wishes. And have a good day ahead.
You too. Bye bye.
Bye.